Hello there. At the tail end of the Clone Wars at about 19 BBY, there was a new ship that was introduced for the Grand Army of the Republic. This ship, of course, was the Alpha 3 Nimbus class V-Wing starfighter, also known as the V-Wing. Introduced in 19 BBY for the Grand Army of the Republic and manufactured by Walex Blissix, this ship was probably one of the greatest V-Wing interceptors of all time, and probably one of the greatest ships that the Grand Army of the Republic had before it then transformed into the Galactic Empire. So today we are going to be talking about the V-Wing, what it did over the course of its short lifespan, and why the actual Imperials never used it efficiently. So without further ado, here we go. But first, as always, we start with a little bit of a breakdown. The entirety of the V-Wing itself was originally manufactured by Quad Systems Engineering and was designed by Walex Blissix. The Alpha 3 Nimbus class V-Wing starfighter was about 102,500 credits new, 45,000 credits used, and post-service 70,000 credits just about. At 7.9 meters in length, 3.8 meters in width, and a height of 5.84 meters with wings extended, this ship had a Class 1 hyperdrive with a booster ring, a Cylioner 45 hyperdrive module with shielding equipped, a 10-jump memory astromech droid navigational system, 2 laser cannons up front, with a mounted concussion missile launcher as an option, and altogether was had a crew of a pilot and a Q-7 astromech systems droid, which could only be reasonably adapted to fit the entirety of the V-Wing itself. The ship obviously took on the role as an interceptor and an escort ship, being one of the fastest ships in the Grand Army of the Republic, serving in the Galactic Republic Navy, the Galactic Imperial Navy, and of course the New Republic, as well as the Jinta Security Forces and the Resistance Navy during the battles and during the war with the First Order. But obviously, if we're going to be talking about the Alpha 3 Nimbus class V-Wing starfighter, we obviously have to talk about the elephant in the room and its late introduction to the actual Clone Wars. See, whenever the actual Republic Navy first created the V-Wing starfighter, it had to replace the V-19 Torrent starfighter that had been serving throughout the entirety of the Clone Wars for the past, 2 years. The entirety of the V-Wing was effectively thrown into battle immediately. People began to really love it, and it was immediately stapled as the main compact starfighter for the actual Galactic Republic Navy. But of course, as the Empire decided to take over the entirety of the Grand Army of the Republic and the entirety of the Republic government, of course, they decided to add some new things. The V-Wing did stay as the main starfighter for the actual Empire itself until they decided to take their time and they created the TIE series fighters created by Centaur Fleet Systems, with the infamous TIE fighter already seeing deployment time by the invasion of Mon Cala in 18 BBY, and would quickly decide to take over the entirety of the main production line of all of the starships and all of the starfighters in the entirety of the Empire, to the point where there was practically no use for the V-Wing anyway, so they decided to scrap them. And by the time of the Galactic Civil War, all of the V-Wings had practically been replaced by TIE fighters, but, somebody has to use them, so why not everybody else? The Rebellion, or otherwise known as the Alliance to Restore the Republic, basically got their hands on every single V-Wing that they could find, used them against the Empire, and many of the other V-Wings that were not in the capable hands of the Empire were effectively used by law enforcement agencies like Jinta Security and 5 ABY, Wild Squadron of the New Republic, and they made use of the V-Wings during the Battle of Jakku. And luckily for the V-Wing itself, it did actually see a lot of use during the time of the New Republic and during the time of the Resistance, where the New Republic and the Resistance both utilized the V-Wing in their own way, shape, and form through various other means like security forces, law enforcement agencies, and just using them as interceptor fighters alongside the A-Wing. Though, unfortunately, we have not seen evidence of the V-Wing actually being used by the New Republic and by the actual Resistance organization itself, there is still some documentation that says that they have been used by them, though until we see it on the silver screen or until we see it in live-action Star Wars, it's still up for interpretation on whether or not they actually still managed to use the V-Wings all the way up to the point where they fought against the First Order. But either way, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you guys really liked the V-Wing, and since we are done with the Republic series, we are now going to be moving on to the Empire. I hope you guys hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, like, share, comment, do whatever it is you want to do. And I will see you guys in the next video. May the Force be with you.